Deep in the heart of Ohio's Amish country, away from the bustling eyes of the world, the Amish renegade was born. Escaping the confines of tradition, Lizzie Ens pursued her passion to become a highly sought-after health and wellness coach, driven by a deep desire to heal and inspire. With a unique ability to awaken the inner commando and renegade within each individual, Lizzie stands as a beacon of hope in a world yearning for change and craving simplicity. Tune in to the only show of its kind, hosted by the Amish renegade herself, Lizzie Ens, on The Lizzie Ens Show.
Welcome, everyone. This is an exciting time. Now, if you have been a regular listener, you will notice right away in the intro here that the show sounds a little bit different now. We have rebranded the show. It used to be called the I'm Not Fine Show, and now it's the Lizzie Ens Show. So welcome to the new show. And I am so incredibly honored and excited to have my dear friend Melvyn Downes on the show because we've been chatting. And Melvyn, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and then we're going to dive into this conversation because I am dying to hear what you have to share on your expertise in your field and what you've experienced. So Melvyn, welcome to the show. Where
Hi,
are you
Lizzie.
located? Where are you from?
Yeah, first of all, Lizzie, thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
And also, thanks for having me on this new branded show as well.
You're the first. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, my name's Melvyn Downes, and I'm from Stoke-on-Trent, which is in the centre of England, UK. It's in between Manchester and Birmingham. It's only a small place, about 250,000 people. So it's not a major city really,
Wow.
but it's in the heart of UK.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now.
Yeah, right. What I'm doing now is I'm doing a lot of public speaking, especially to veterans, about my career, my life, and about resilience. Because at the moment, lots of people are suffering. Not veterans, but not just veterans. There's many people suffering. I did a talk yesterday to a community, and just basically because I've had over 40 years of either being in the British Special Forces in the military or training other special forces. I've got all that background, but also I'm nearly 6 years old. I've got life experience on everything what everybody's going to go through. So we're just trying to give people a boost and show them that you can get out of difficult situations. So I'm doing a lot of public speaking. I'm also doing a lot of stuff for charity, which is I'm passionate about at the moment. And this is all to do through what I've seen during my career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot that I want to unpack here because you shared this with me that you did boxing, and that was when was this? Because I was reading through all the notes that you sent me, and that was one of the things that like stood out to me. So you did boxing. When was this, and what was that like?
Oh, I didn't know he was going to ask me about this. Well, I did boxing in the British Army, and I was the army champion for my weight. And also our team was a champion team within the best team within the British Army for a few years running. So for 5 years, all I did was basically train every day with the boxing team. And we used to box once a month and then do individual boxing. So it was fantastic. It was only 3 rounds, but to me, it was being a gladiator. It's so close as you can get to real combat. Because for anybody to step on to that ring when you've got over 1,000 people from your unit watching, and you've got another 1,000 from that unit, and they're all screaming for each other, to step in that ring and actually put yourself on the line, it's quite, you've got to take courage. It really does. So I've always enjoyed sports, any type of sports, not just boxing.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was always into physical stuff. That I was captain of the sports teams of rugby, which is obviously,
Rugby. Yes.
yeah, a
Yes.
bit like your American football, and cricket, which I don't know. I suppose it's like your baseball, So
Yes, yes, I believe so. Yes, I have heard of crickets before. Yes.
and I know we call it football, you call it soccer.
Yep.
So I was always passionate about doing any type of exercise as a kid because I was never academic growing up. So when I went to school, all I concentrated on really, I just wanted doing physical stuff, and I wanted just join the military from a very young age. So
Mm.
that was my passion. It really was. I decided from something like 10 years old that I'm going to go in the military. And then
Wow.
yeah. So then whilst in the military, to be able to carry on doing lots of sports and especially boxing, I really enjoyed this and excelled at it. So yeah, that was just part of my career.
Now, did you do a lot of the sports before you went into the military?
No, I did stuff like football, well, soccer and cricket and rugby and cross country and running, but I never actually boxed until I got into the military. But I
Okay.
did a lot of fighting and street fighting, which basically protecting myself.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned resilience very early on, which is one of my favorite words right now because it takes resilience and specifically mental resilience to, do play sports at a high level. And I'm curious, what would you say that the sports that you were passionate about and that you played in before you went into the military, what did sportsmanship teach you?
It taught me to be, well, when you're in a team, teamwork. But apart from that, when I was doing something like cross country, it's that you can be the best. You've got to aim high all the time. It's better to fail than better to try and fail than fail to try, never be put off by anything. So I was also into athletics, the 3,000 meter chase, the 5,000 meters, and I excelled in them as well. So I was always passionate about catching that person. So it just taught me. And whenever I lost, or if I used to I didn't take that loss as a negative. I thought, right, why did I lose? What was it? Had I done the right amount of training? Was it the right state of mind mentally? That was I'm wearing the right equipment and so on. And I analyze things and I just try to improve each time. And if you do this, you can take instead of saying right, I failed, I've lost, so to speak. You think right, no, I'm going to get better next time. I'm going to get further up that. I'm going to finish first, or I'm going to finish in the pack and improve. And so long as you're improving each time, then you're cracking it.
Yep. Yeah, I was listening to something this morning. I was listening to a book, and she was talking about something that Michael Jordan said. He put the stats out about how many missed shots he had, and
Mm.
because of those missed shots were the reasons that he won as many times as he did. So the shots that he missed weren't necessarily failed. There's exactly what you said. He didn't fail. He missed the shots, but those missed shots allowed him to study what he did wrong and then how he could become better. So absolutely correct. Like it's not necessarily that the things that you messed up on that it's a failure. It's actually a learning opportunity for you to study it. Just exactly what you were saying. I studied why I lost and then I got better from there.
Yeah, you learn from everything. And going back to the boxing, at first I was unbeatable. Nobody could beat me. And I got in my head, I thought I was unbeatable. Nobody could touch me because I had the fitness and I was just had that determination. I ain't going down. And I never did go down. But on one fight, somebody hit me and I took a real bad punch and I saw the stars and I was really out on my feet. But being stubborn, I stood up and I thought I can fight through this. So it was just like being drunk. And I couldn't. But I tried to fight through it. I can't even remember the round, but I carried on fighting through it. And the referee stopped to give me an 8 count and let me carry on. And then the bell went, and my corner was speaking to me, and he was saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was just saying, "Yes, yes, yes." But really, I can't remember any of this. It was only afterwards they told me and I seen the video. So then I went out again, and he hit me. I couldn't, I was dizzy and everything. And I still tried to think, no, I'm invincible. I can fight through this. So I'm thinking I'm boxing properly, but really my arms are down. I'm swinging all over. I'm open. I'm not using my head. And then he hit me again. I didn't go down, but the referee saw in my eyes there was nothing and he stopped it. Now, it was really embarrassing because I hadn't lost, and to the person who I lost to, he wasn't really that good. It was just a lucky punch. But I could have, for about 12 hours, I felt sorry for myself, and people were, patting you on the back and all the rest of it. And people lost a lot of bets as well. This is within the military, saying, wow, yeah, he's 100%, he was a nobody. I'm going to walk him. I thought I'd walk straight through him and go on to the next one. And then instead of just letting that get me down, what I thought from it, I thought, no, right, why did I lose that? And then I realized I just took somebody for granted. And no matter who you are, something can happen. And that did. But I learned from that then, because after that, there was many a time where I got the punch where you're feeling dizzy and you're feeling that sick feeling. But I learned from that fight, instead of trying to fight through it, and really you don't know what you're doing, what I did then is, right, okay, cover up, and older person, let him just jump quickly, grab the person, give your head time to shake. Then when the referee breaks you, try grab him again. Just keep on moving, keep away from him, run around the ring, keep him at arm's length. And the worst case, what I'd do is just like spit my gum shield out. Because once your gum shield goes out your mouth, the referee has to stop it. You have to take it to the corner, de-dip it, and clean it in amateur. So that gives you so many vital seconds. So I learned from that. So many a times I had that stunning feeling again, but I thought, right, I know what this is now. Don't try to fight through it. So it was a massive learning curve. So
That
after
was
that,
yeah, that was actually you got better because of that.
100%. And then I went on to improve and go all the way up to be an army champion.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. So had that not happened, you would not have learned how to get better. Just like you said, I think everybody at some point in their life gets an ego and they're like, "Oh, I'm good. Nobody can beat me," or whatever. It could be in so many areas of life. It doesn't have to be boxing. But the thing is life hits you out of nowhere if you're not prepared. So
100%.
preparation or awareness, as I like to say it, is being able to be aware of the things that are going on around you and go, okay, I can foresee that this could happen. Now, I think that there's a healthy balance between awareness, and then I've also seen people that are so afraid of doing things because they're afraid of what could happen. So you can't go through life going, well, I'm not going to go after my dream because I'm afraid of what could happen. Right?
Yeah.
So you still have to take chances. You still have to be okay with failing and learning from that, your mistakes, and I don't even like to call it failures. I like to call it life's lessons. But maybe you missed a shot, right? But you learned from it, and there's a life lesson in that. That's what you have to be willing to go through. And if we can get to that place of looking at our mistakes and of whatever it is that we did, instead of looking at them as a failure, we can look at them as a life lesson to better ourselves. Because I think you would agree with this. We don't learn our most valuable lessons when things are good.
100%. And you grow through what you go through. That's true. And and when you're saying about a dream, it's not a dream, it's a plan. You've got to take life and back the ball by the horn, so to speak, and go for it. And it's like, right, which is the worst hard? Is it gamble? Is it saving and just a complete saver? Or am I going to be a complete spender and just waste money? Both of them are bad. You've got to do a bit of both, but you've got to be able to take a gamble, a financial gamble, and be prepared to take the hits, but do it logically. Don't just go in there blind like a gambler.
Yeah.
But have a look, but then don't just sit back, because there's that many people I know on both sides where they just took stupid risks and it's all gone. They haven't listened to some advice, and then there's other people who just sat back on everything. And the perfect example was buying houses and mortgages. Some people saying, no, I won't buy an house because I moved to Dubai. And everybody was saying, don't buy an house in Dubai. This place can just turn wrong, sour straight away. And they had this financial crash in 2008 and so on. But me and my wife, we took that gamble. We thought, right, we didn't put everything in there. We knew if it all failed, we'd be, in a sticky situation, but we won't be completely out of it. But it was a massive gamble. And over the years, this gamble, sometimes you're thinking, oh no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Because the job I was on, it could have gone any time as well. It wasn't a permanent contract. It was a rolling contract. So anytime they could have got rid of you and could just give you 3 months notice. So I had to stay in this job for so many years to at least get above board on my mortgage and so on. But no, everybody else all my friends wouldn't do it. And I did it. And I was so glad at the end, after 14 years living out there, we left and we sold at a massive profit. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, other
See?
people were then kicking us out saying,
But
why didn't I do that? But
right.
a lot of times it nearly went, and we're thinking, oh no, what have we done? But we took that gamble.
And you took a gamble with strategy.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. Now we got to go to our first break here, but when we come back, I want to continue to dive into this, but I also want to talk about you and your experience in the military and how did you build up to the sergeant that you were, all the positions that you were in, because that's very, very inspiring. And I think when we talk about resilience, that's what we're talking about as well. And how are you taking that and applying it to your life now? Those are some things that I want you to think about, to talk about, because it applies to so many areas of our lives. So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey there, renegades! Are you tired of just going through the motions? Ready to break free and design the life you've always craved? Then you're in luck, because right here, right now, you're in the heart of it all. Every single week on the Lizzie Ens Show, we release a new episode where we dive deep into the hottest topics out there, from health and fitness to mindset, business, and personal growth. But here's the kicker. We're not just here to talk. We're here to make it happen. Join us weekly for discussions that are uplifting, powerful, fun, and relatable. We're all about embracing the incredible potential of our minds and bodies and learning to move with them to reclaim our vitality in every aspect of our lives. So if you're ready to join the revolution and unlock your true potential, tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Because right here, right now, you're in the perfect place to make it all happen.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
You're now listening to the world-renowned and internationally recognized Amish Renegade on the Lizzie Ens Show.
All right, you guys, welcome back. Melvyn, I want to dive into SAS. Some people don't know what that is. So as you wish, I want you to share a little bit about your military experience, the mental resilience, all the way up to SAS Sergeant. How did you get there? Because they're pretty badass.
Okay, I'll start off very quickly, go into my childhood, because this is all part of the story. I just always wanted to go in the military. Where when I was growing up, I went into the Army Cadets, which is a bit like the Boy Scouts. And you go on camps and all stuff like that, but also you fire weapons and you do military stuff, you do navigation, you do first aid and everything, and you also do survival. I excelled at that. And so as soon as I finished school, I wasn't interested in further education. 16 years old, 2 weeks later, I was in the military as a 16-year-old. So you do a year's basic training as a 16-year-old. If you joined at 18, you do 4 months basic training before going to your parent unit. So I did a full year's the basic training. And this is where you're up at 5 in the morning and you've drilled and you've got to grill it, clean everything, and everything's got to be spotless, you know, cleaning things with a toothbrush, and I mean the floors and stuff like that. It's really, really disciplined. But doing this for a year, it just made me that made me resilient. It made me really good at it's not just at being a boy soldier. So when I joined my parent unit, I excelled straight away, and this was just an infantry unit. So from there, I went on 3 tours of duty in Northern Ireland, which was at the time, there was a lot of troubles going on between the Protestants and Catholics and so on. And even though it's over now, thank heavens, it was just so confusing because you was there and you didn't know who the enemy were because they were in civilian clothes. And you had terrorists on both sides, on the Catholic side and the Protestant side. And we was just over there to try and keep the peace. But because of this, IEDs and bombs and stuff like this. And so I saw combat experience as an 18, 19-year-old over there. Unfortunately, I had a good friend die. So that just brought back some of the problems what hit me in life later on, but I got over. Anyway, so I did a few tours of duty in Northern Ireland, and I heard about the British SAS first of all, from that embassy when they did the famous embassy raid in UK. I don't know if you've seen it, but they did a bit of raid, and it was the first raid, and it was live on TV. This is something like 1982.
When was this?
This was 1982. I joined the military in 1981.
Okay.
And
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I had a long time. Actually, I've got 40 years of either being in the British military in the SAS or training over special forces. That's what I've basically done most of my life.
Wow.
Yeah. So I always wanted to go in the military, first of all. And when I was joined the normal military, I got to the rank of sergeant after I did 12 years with the normal military, and I did tours of Northern Ireland. I actually went to the first Gulf War as well, Operation Granby. This is 1991 with George Bush Senior. So I saw full combat there in an armored role and by this time I was something like 25, 26, and I was in charge of a tank, basically an armored fighting vehicle, but it's an armored, it carries people. So altogether there was 10 of us, and we spent 5.5 months living in the desert out there before the war started. And then I saw combat for real, and again I saw real action, and unfortunately I saw friends die in front of me and everything. So you know that again, it just gives you life lessons for later on. Anyway, once I finished this as a sergeant, then I decided to go to the SAS. Now, you put in the paperwork, and to go to the SAS, first of all, you had to have done a minimum of 3 years. I'd already done 12 years in the British Army. So most people who go for it it's quite senior. You can't just be a new private. And even before you go for it, you have to go on a course for 2 days, just make sure you're fit enough to even attempt the course.
Really?
Yeah. The British Special Forces course, the selection process to get in there has hardly changed since the founder was named David Stirling, and he founded the British SAS in the Second World War, mainly to go behind enemy lines. And what it is, it's small units of elite people trained up to a massive, a really high standard, and they are trusted to go behind enemy lines and create havoc. So a few good men can really make a difference.
Yeah.
And also use this strategic level, not like normal infantry, tactical level, you use the government level. So when you go on a job in the special forces, it has to be ticked off from government level, because whenever you go on a mission, it's a full-on mission. You're too precious to be just boots on the ground and walking around as a patrol. You have to just go to do a specific target, be it capture a terrorist or apprehend terrorist or insurgents, or PIFWICs, which is persons indicted for war crimes in foreign countries, or you're fighting enemy combatants. You go out there, as I said, in small groups and create havoc, doing ambushes and so on. So to do this, obviously you need a massive level of battle discipline, and you have to be at such a high tempo and an high rate within the British Army. So for instance, the course lasts for 6 months, and it's 2 courses. And every year, there are over 200 people volunteer for it because it's seen as the ultimate goal. There's very, very few British SAS soldiers. There's more Premier League, and I don't know if you know about football, soccer, the top tier soccer strikers, there's more of them than there is British SAS soldiers. There's only a couple hundred of us, very, very few in the entire British Army. So to get in there, it's really, really difficult. And out of 200 people, for instance, by the time I finished my course, there was only 6 SAS soldiers get finished the course, and 4 SBS, and that's the equivalent of, say, the Delta Force and the Navy SEAL Team 6. It's a bit
Wow.
so.
So out of 200, 6 of them actually made it.
Yeah, and then 4 SBS, so you could say 10, but
10.
SBS goes to a different unit. It's too much to go into it in detail. So that's 5%. And as I said, everybody who was allowed on that course had to be a really high standard and had to be in the military for so many years. And most people who was attempting the course were corporals or sergeants and some sergeant majors and so on from the normal army. And it's not just open from the army, people from the Air Force and Navy. Everybody can attempt it if they're good enough and allowed to go on it because they're deemed good enough. But as I said, it's a failure rate is massive. But the thing is, with their selection, if 20 people passed, they bring 20 in. If nobody passed, they bring nobody.
Wow.
It's unique how they do it.
Yeah. Would you say, so just talking about resilience, what do you think is the number one thing that prevents people from completing the course?
Well, ours, that you go through the first part of the course is just a couple of months of running over the mountain, physical, carrying lots of equipment, and you're going for many hours, and you just don't know when you're going finish. You might think you finish, and then they'll stop, and then they make you go all night, and then all day again, and then stop, and then go back in, get a few hours sleep, and out again. And nobody encourages you. There's no shouting. It's all self-discipline, and there's no patting on the back telling you how you've done. But at any time, you can do what's known as VW, which is voluntary withdrawal. Just say, right, I'm going home, and people just drop out, drop like flies being swatted. And what gets you through that? Because everybody feels that physical pain. It's meant to be so tough that it's everybody. You know, your toenails fall off. You're in agony. You're just tabbing every day in all weathers with lots of equipment, hardly having any sleep. And you're doing that, as I said, for a fair few weeks. And then once you get through the end of that, whoever's passed, they'll just say, right, you've passed. Because whenever you're doing these long old rucksack marches, you don't know the time limit. So at the end, you don't know if you've passed or anything. But when they finish, they say, right, you've passed this part, you've passed this part, and so on. But the majority of people, over 200 started, and we had about 50 left. Because most of them, 90% of them people just called VW just left. Now, what made you resilient is it was not just physical pain, it was mind pain. People didn't know how they were doing. So they thought, right, I'm not passing this course. And they just took the cells off. Me, I thought, there's no way I'm going to stop unless somebody pulls me off this course. And also, what happened on my course, I had a few lads, a few white guys, because I was the only black guy on over 200 people there on the course.
Really?
And, yeah. They were looking on a map and they thought they knew the area where they're going to go the next day, because nobody knows it, but they did. And I was listening to them. We were all in beds and on this, you all live together in a big block, basic accommodation, you know, and they were just discussing the next day's course. And I thought, well, we're all soldiers together, even though they were from a different unit. So I goes, can I have a look at that, please? And they just turned around, turned the back, and then one of them called me a really bad name. And I just wanted, my dad always taught me to stand up for myself, because this happened a lot in as a boy, because I come to an area, it was mainly white people. And so I had to, I thought, right, I'm going to say something here, even though there was 5 of them. But what stopped me was like, no, they'll take me off this course. So I lied on my bed, just listening at it, but I was really upset about it. I thought, what do I do? And I'm like, right, nobody's better than me. This is where the resilience kicked in. I thought, I used them 5 people. I says, there's no way I'm leaving this course before any of you. And it just so happened as we were going over the mountains, every now and next day, one of them left. There was an empty bed space, and the next left, and the next left. And by the time we finished the fitness part, there was only this one guy left who called me the bad word. And I said, I'm not going after him. Then the next part of this course, you go to the rainforest, you go inside a jungle for 6 weeks, and you live in the jungle. Yeah. And to be a soldier in the jungle, you're getting judged. You're in groups of 4 and you've got an instructor and they watch you 24/7. And you have to do everything. You don't even speak. Most of the times it's hand signals, and you're living a lot of times on the floor or in hammocks. You're soaking wet. You just wear the same kit and then you have a spare pair. But and everything in the jungle just wants to scratch you, bite you. It's a really horrible environment. You know, you're not washing. You come out of there with big beards and stinking, and to be a soldier in there, that they're watching that you've got the discipline there, and that's really very, very difficult. But this guy was still on who called me this bad name up until week 2, and then he left. I thought, right, he was my target. And by this time, I'm like, right, what's my target now? What keeps me here now? Because every day you could just say, right, I've had enough, and just go. And then an helicopter would come in every 3 days, and you go back out and wait, and then go back to UK. And it's not seen. If anybody goes on this course, it's not seen, and you don't make it, you're still seen as an hero, because very few people make it. For my unit, what I came from, my unit was formed in 1959, and there was only 2 other guys ever got in there. I don't know them, you know.
Wow.
And in my unit, every year, you get many people go for it, but nobody got in. So when I went on my own, and I had no idea about the course. So by this time now, I got this far. And then the last part of the course, you go on what's called resistance interrogation. So basically, it's going on the run with people after you. It's like an hunter force, as if you're behind enemy lines and you're on your own, which you could be. And it's as if you get captured, you basically just don't get captured. And if you do, how to not give away any information for as long as possible, because then it gains you time to hopefully get rescued. So they give you all this. So for do this part, you go live on the land for a couple of days and nights. So you've got all any energy in you, and then they take you. Whoever's left by this time, there's about 16 people left because a lot of people failed the jungle. So we went to this area in Wales. They blindfold you, drop you off in a new area. You've got no food or anything. And they say, right, you are here now, you've got to get to this point. So every night you have to get at least 15 miles. And then if you get to... No, but they let the blindfold off.
Okay, got it.
From the start. Sorry, I'm just trying to explain it as simple as possible. I do realize that people aren't military minded. So you have to go on the run. But when you go on the run, you've got a battalion of soldiers after you, which is 800 soldiers. You have police, you have dog handlers, you have dogs, you have helicopters. And the idea is you hide in the daytime, you tunnel in a little bush and you just lie there all day, freezing cold. And then at the nighttime, you try and make your way to this checkpoint. But all the time you're being hunted. And if somebody captures you, then you get put in really bad positions for about 8 hours. You're getting put in stress positions and so on. And then you have to go back on the run. So the idea is don't get captured. But for these days and nights, you don't eat anything and you just try and drink from the land. And so your body's completely drained.
Yep.
Now, the final checkpoint, so it's been 7 days and nights without any food. You're completely exhausted because don't forget the weather's really bad as well. You're just living out. You're basically freezing. Unfortunately, people have died on this course just attempting it. And then you all get captured at the final checkpoint, and then you go into an area to do resistance interrogation. This is for 36 hours, but you've got no watch on anything. You don't know the idea of time. And you put in different stress positions up against the wall, or you've got your hands on your head and you're blindfolded, and they have loud noise on all the time, and you're just sitting there and stress. And you if you want to go toilet, you just do it in your uniform. It's like that.
Wow.
Craziness.
This is absolutely amazing. Like I'm just like listening to this entire thing. There's so many things going through my mind. You're about to share like the final chapter of that, and
Yeah.
we gotta go, unfortunately got a break for commercial, but when we come back, I want you to go in there because I feel like this is a cliffhanger. This is so amazing, and I'm so glad we're talking about this in terms of resilience, because before we end this show today, I want to talk a little bit about how that translates over into your regular life and how we can apply, resilience to our daily life now. So we're going to go to our next break here, but when we come back, I want you to continue diving into this last chapter of this. We'll be right back, guys.
Hey there, renegades! Are you tired of just going through the motions? Ready to break free and design the life you've always craved? Then you're in luck, because right here, right now, you're in the heart of it all. Every single week on the Lizzie Ens Show, we release a new episode where we dive deep into the hottest topics out there, from health and fitness to mindset, business, and personal growth. But here's the kicker: we're not just here to talk, we're here to make it happen. Join us weekly for discussions that are uplifting, powerful, fun, and relatable. We're all about embracing the incredible potential of our minds and bodies and learning to move with them to reclaim our vitality in every aspect of our lives. So if you're ready to join the revolution and unlock your true potential, tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Because right here, right now, you're in the perfect place to make it all happen.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
You're now listening to the world-renowned and internationally recognized Amish Renegade on the Lizzie Ens Show.
All right. I want you to just dive back into this chapter because I feel like I was left on a cliffhanger and I want to know what happened. So take it away, Melvyn.
Yeah, so this is the final part of the SAS course, which the SAS is arguably the most difficult and toughest special forces course in the world. It's renowned. As I said, very, very few. So the final part of it is all the interrogation. So they've done all the physical side, and they've made at the beginning, and they've done in the jungle the soldiering side. But this is the mental side, and you can't train your head mentally to get through this, unless you go live out on unless you go live on the land and don't eat anything and run around the hills without any food for 7 days and nights, and then you're in this position where you're in a stress position. 36 hours, no sleep whatsoever, and blindfolded, and you've got all this noise going on constantly. And even in front of your blindfold, there's a beacon light. So you still see this light coming through the blindfold, and it gives you an headache. You're in a state of confusion. You hallucinate. And then you go to see interrogators. So they pull you in, you take your blindfold off, and you've got a professional interrogator. Now, this is where the intelligence comes in as well. You've also given a cover story of why you was in this area or what to do. So the cover story is to delay you getting killed and try to give bits of information at a time. Because the longer you can lay off, the more chance you've got of getting rescued. But to remember the cover story when you're that tired, and not sign any pieces of paper or not say yes or no, because they can use that edited for something, saying you've done a war crime. It's really confusing. And these are professional interrogators. I mean, they can talk, they can sort of send you sleep. For instance, when I first saw the interrogator, I was hallucinating. I was that tired that his head was turning into Mickey Mouse. And I didn't know what to do. And then you have women interrogators, and they strip you naked, and they try to humiliate you, and they goes you down, and so on. It really is playing with your mind. And people fail that because anytime you can just put your hand up, I've had enough. So a lot of people do that because it's just craziness. And then other people, they just don't know what they say yes, no, or they write a mission letter. and so on, because the head's that confused, and that's what it's designed to do. So that if you pass this part, that you could be trusted to go behind enemy lines and not give away information and take an awful lot of pain, so to speak. Anyway, so I passed that part, and at the end of it, there was only 6 of us, and they passed us all, and that was it. And then you were in the special forces, but that's not where it's as soon as you start. I remember getting there, and somebody just giving you a berry, no big parade, and saying, right, Downes, you go into this group, and they're called Sabre Squadrons. And then he said, enjoy it, because I had 12 years left before my time was up. And he goes, because it will go like that, it'll go so quick. And also, you've got to beat the clock. And what we mean by beating the clock, since the SAS was formed in the Second World War, if you die on fighting in combat operations, or you die in training, you get your name on a clock tower, which is a monument in our camp. There's only been 1 year since the Second World War that nobody's got a name on there. There's many names on there. So when they say beat the clock, it means survive your time in the SAS without dying. Because we've got our own graveyard, and it gets, there's an awful lot of people, unfortunately, end up dying on missions. And a lot of the missions are secretive. Nobody will ever know about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So to get through that, you have to be resilient. You've got to be tough. You've got to, when you get down, you've got to get up again and don't break. So that to me gave me such a boost when I left the military, and made me resourceful, not just in being physically resourceful, being psychologically resourceful, but also it made me more emotionally resourceful. It made me more financially resourceful. It made me more social resourceful. So all these issues, what come along for everybody, whether you're in the military or not, everybody, I say it's like a military assault course when you're going over hurdles, over different obstacles. You'll get by and everything's going all right. And then suddenly, bang, you'll be hit with another problem, be it a medical problem, like something's gone wrong, you've got, you don't know, you could get a disease and so on, and you've got to get over it, recover, get your fitness back. Could it be a financial problem? You've lost a lot of money in an investment, something's gone wrong. You've gone through, or an emotional problem, which can be financial as well. You've gone through a bit of divorce. What happened to me many years ago, and I learned from it. I'm now been in a brilliant marriage with my wife for 22 years. And looking back, when I was on my lowest, I'm like, wow, I got over that. I know the reason why. So emotional problems, that could be domestic and so on. And also social problems. What I mean by social problems is suffering like things like bullying, sexism, racism, all of the isms, and people get these things will happen in life. These hurdles, something will happen, but I've been resilient. That right, no, you're not stopping me. I'm going to go for this, or I'm going to do this, or I've been knocked down. I've lost a lot of money here. I've suddenly had a divorce, and I remember joining the military at 16 years old. My dad gave me just a couple of pounds worth of dollars, and that was it. And I went into a room full of young soldiers and an army itchy blanket and uncomfortable bed, and that was it. Roll on 16 years later, we went through a divorce, and I didn't know my wife was taking money and all the rest before, and I'd been away for many months. I came back and I was suddenly £50,000 in debt, a corporal in the British Special Forces, and I remember going back into a room, but with just a little blanket, a little bed. I didn't even have clothes because my wife took all my clothes when I was away, the ex-wife. And so I thought to myself, 16 years ago, I started as a boy soldier. I had nothing. I was in a room with some other guys, but I had a couple of pounds. Now I'm back in the military accommodation in the camp, but I'm minus. I own £50,000.
You're 50,000 pounds minus.
Yeah, but you know what? I made that. I got over that. Because I worked. I did more and more stuff in the military. I was working even when I was not in the military, when I never had time on leave, and just to pay off the debts, and then buy a small property, and I built up from that. And I was lucky and fortunate enough to meet my wife, who I've been with now for 22 years, and we've got perfect kids. So everything happens for a reason. But you can see when you're down and you've had these body blows, you feel like, you can even feel like ending it, or you can feel right, nothing's going right for me. Why do I deserve this?
Yeah. Well, and I
You
think that
can't
it's
get
really
over.
easy when things are difficult, if you don't know how to uh, be resilient in the difficult times, it's really easy to give in and give up. And I see this all the time in business. I see this all the time with people with their health journeys. When things get difficult and they're maybe not going the way that we want them to go or that we think that they should go. But I listened to something really, really amazing this morning in this book that I'm listening to. And one of the things that she said, she was talking about rejection. And she said, rejection is God's protection because God did not allow the person that rejected you to see your gift fully for a reason. And so he was protecting you. So even though it can feel like rejection, it's actually protection. And I thought that was so incredibly amazing because a lot of times we feel like rejection is just setting us back, but it's really something that's supposed to help us propel us forward into what God actually wants us to do and go and be. So I just think that's so amazing. I have something that I want to point out. We got to go to our last break here. And then we have a few minutes after that to just dive into how do people apply this to their life now? What do they do when they're down and things are difficult? Maybe they lost their job. Maybe they are going through a divorce. Maybe they lost a loved one. Like whatever it is, how do they set themselves up to go through those difficult times better and easier and also be able to see at least one positive thing in that moment? So we're going to go to our break here, and when we come back, I want to dive into that. We'll be right back, guys.
Hey there, renegades! Are you tired of just going through the motions? Ready to break free and design the life you've always craved? Then you're in luck, because right here, right now, you're in the heart of it all. Every single week on the Lizzie Ens Show, we release a new episode where we dive deep into the hottest topics out there, from health and fitness to mindset, business, and personal growth. But here's the kicker. We're not just here to talk. We're here to make it happen. Join us weekly for discussions that are uplifting, powerful, fun, and relatable. We're all about embracing the incredible potential of our minds and bodies and learning to move with them to reclaim our vitality in every aspect of our lives. So if you're ready to join the revolution and unlock your true potential, tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Because right here, right now, you're in the perfect place to make it all happen. You're now listening to the world-renowned and internationally recognized Amish Renegade on the Lizzie Ens Show.
All right, so we have a few minutes left here. I can't believe it. It feels like we need another hour to keep talking, but we don't have another hour. We have a few minutes left. So I want to dive into this because when I was thinking about that moment when you said, when you were with those 5 other guys and you asked to see the map and they said no. And had they shown you that map, did you ever think about this? If they had shown that to you, what do you think would have happened? Because when I'm listening to you sharing that, I'm like, that exact moment is what made you fight harder and then win at the end. So I'm curious if you've ever thought about that.
You know what? Lizzie, I've never actually thought about that. I'd still like to think I would pass, but it was having them 5 guys as a target. As there's no way you were going. I'm leaving this course. They'd have to pull me off. I'd crawl around it, you know. So I had them to go for, but I do believe I still would have passed and got in, because don't forget the 5th guy left and he was halfway through the jungle, so I still had an awful long way to go. So I did do that, but it was good having that target go for. So it's always good to have a target thinking, right, no, nobody's better than you, or you can do this. You're going to have bad days, but you're going to have to get up and, you know, your glass has always got to be all full, always. And I've got so much positivity because I think a lot of it was due to my military career and the places I've been, because I've seen the worst in humanity and the best in humanity. I've seen how people live with nothing. And I've seen, really bad situations, and I've been in combat situations and so on. So all this I took with me, and I've used it as a positive, because I'm like, wow, no matter how bad things are, I'm alive. If you wake up in the morning, it's better than there's that many people who aren't waking up in the morning or waking up with bad problems. You've got to embrace everything what life throws at you, and take the positive out of every negative. And every negative, there's a positive, no matter what. Even grief. I've buried that many friends, and we'll all unfortunately bury somebody as well, somebody close, family. But again, it shouldn't be all this crying. I'm not into that. Believe you me, I do have empathy, and I do feel sad, but it's all about embracing their life. You can't do anything. You can never bring them back. So it's all about having a good time for them. That's what they'd want you. They won't want you to be glum. So everything is that situation. So for instance, in the military, when one of our guys died, we'd sell all his equipment, make a big auction for his family, and we'd really celebrate the guy, and we'd just laugh even on operations about the funny things what happened and the joke, because a massive part of our ethos, and I think this does make you resilient, is what David Sterling said when he formed the SAS. They said they've got to have 5 major points for picking an SAS soldier. I didn't know this until afterwards. And then looking at it, if you take the ethos in life, it's great for resilience, and whatever job you do, you've made it. And the 5 points quickly is classlessness. If you've got classlessness, you can work with anybody, any sex, any religion, any gender, so on. You're great. You're going to be a great employer. Classlessness is massive. Doesn't matter how rich, poor, and so on. You're doing the same job, or you've all got a life. Humility. Again, that is so important. You've got to be humble. You've got to, nobody likes a bigger, and you've got to be able to admit things when if you're not right. Just humbleness, humility. That's massive. Integrity. Now, you've got to put your hands up if something's wrong. An employee, right? I've made a mess of this.
Yeah.
Never ever bluff, because you can't do that when you go on military operations. You can't say I forgot the radio equipment, or I forgot this sort of ammunition. You've got to, So integrity is 100%. I prefer to have a thief, and everybody would with you, than a liar. Once the trust is gone in relationships or anything, that's it.
Yep.
So classlessness, humility, integrity, then the pursuit of excellence. And this was another one of our ethos. No matter what you do, you can always do better. It might mean training order, more studying, more practice, whatever it is. And even if you've done everything so successful with our special forces, doesn't matter how good the mission was or exercise, we'd always have a debrief, and we'd always say, right, what could we have done better? Could I have run that race faster? Could I have done this better? And to me, if you were started off in a job and you're flipping burgers and McDonald's, nothing wrong with that. Be the best burger flipper, do as many as you can, and then think, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to get recognized, and then I'm going to be moving on. I'm going to be a chef. I'm going to have my own restaurant. You've got to aim like this, or even if you've been told to clean up, do it properly, do it good. Heck out, it's anything. You get done. So classlessness, humility, integrity, the pursuit of excellence, and the final one is a sense of humor in life. You've got to have, and that is massive, and that's why we smile, have a smile and a joke about everything. When I walk around, I'm so positive. I always see somebody. If I'm going to Starbucks, I always check out the name, and if I can't see, excuse me, can see, how are you doing? How's your day? I don't just order first. Or if I walk past anybody, I always say hi, or good morning, how's it going? And sometimes people don't acknowledge it. I don't get upset about that. I think it's a negative. I just think, right, okay, they're too busy, or they've had a bad day, something on their mind. But you'd be surprised just saying hi to somebody and smiling at them and walking past.
I know. That's so amazing. We have 30 seconds left. I want you to tell people real quick, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. It's at Melvyn Downes. That's Mike Echo Lima Victor Yankee Melvyn, and Downes DOWNES. So it's Melvyn with a Y, Downes ES. And I'm on social media.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was so amazing. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon, okay? Bye, guys.
Bye.
This show is made possible with your support. Tune in to The Lizzie Ens Show every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific Time, and around the world at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. And don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends.